Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Shannara fan here. We're doing a set today based on a book that I'm reading. This nail broke, so I had to rebuild it with polygel, and I have a thin coat of polygel over all my natural nails. We're going to start off with a layer of the UNT ready for takeoff. I put this on underneath my designs so that I can remove them easily when I'm done. Once that dries, we're going to begin our set. Today's set is based on the book, The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. I absolutely love the Shannara series. It's where I got my name from. And we're doing a set that shows Shea, who is our hero, battling a skull bearer with the magical blue elf stones. So we're going to do our base coat and let that dry. Okay, once that dries, we're going to go in with a coat of black on the last three nails, because these guys are going to have our lightning bolts or energy bolts, and then the pinky is going to have our skull bearer's face. So we're going to put a coat of black on each of these. Now that we have our black all touched up, we're going to cure that and then clean it off with rubbing alcohols to get rid of our tacky layer. I did put a little bit of a thick coat on my birdie finger there. It's got a little bit of a ripple happening. Got to use thin coats. So now we're going to use this color, which is kind of a taupe color, and we're going to map out on our pointer finger where the elf stones are going to be. There are many descriptions in the books of the elf stones, and they're faceted but smooth and very blue and see-through. So I decided to go with a octahedron as the shape of my elf stones, which is basically two pyramids base to base, like a three-dimensional diamond shape. Anyway, so we're going to outline those, and then once I get the shape the way I want it, we're going to go back in with color. So the colors that we're using are by Vrenmol. We're going to use two of their glow-in-the-dark colors. We've got Blue Light and Aurora. And then we're also going to use this one by Gellin, which is like an aqua color. It doesn't have a name, it just has a number, so I named it Aqua. Anyway, we're going to take a detail brush and take a little bit of each of these colors, and then we're going to add the details to our elf stones. We're starting out with the palest color, which is the Aqua, or Aurora, excuse me, and we're going to put a thin coat, or actually kind of a thick coat, on each of the elf stones to give them kind of a glowing background. Now we're going to take the blue light and the aqua and add our darker details to our elf stones. Then we're going to take a little bit of white and a little bit of black, and we're going to mix the black with one of our blues to kind of make a shadow color to do the depth and details. Now we're going to take a little bit of white on our detail brush, and we're going to add some highlights to the top of our stones, specifically where the facets are, so that we can add a little bit of depth and detail. Next, we're going to take our black and we're going to go around the outside edges of our stones and fill in our background. I like to use the detail brush for this also because it's very touchy and you want to be really close to the cuticle but not flood your cuticles. So once we're done with that, we will move on to the next step. Now we're going to take some blue Aurora powder and we're just going to very gently tap that onto our elf stones. I should mention here that I have cleaned the tacky layer off of my black to try to keep it from sticking so much to that. And then we're going to take a little bit of alcohol on a cleanup brush and we're going to get the Aurora powder off of the black areas so that it only sits on the elf stones and their immediate vicinity. Now we're going to go back in with just a little bit of our aqua and the blue light from Vrenmol, and we're going to add a little more depth to the elf stones. The Aurora powder kind of made it look a little flat, and so I wanted to add just a little more depth with the blue. So we're going to do that and then cure. Didn't record this part, but I did go back in with the black and the white and add a few more touch-ups to the elf stones themselves just to give the shape of the facets a really crisp feel. Now we're going to take a very fluffy brush and dip it into our aqua, and we're going to do the area where our energy bolt is going to be. So we're going to take the aqua and very gently tap onto the nail over the black, adding a little bit of the blue lights as well, and we're just going to keep building this up until it gets to the opacity that we want. Now we're going to take our detail brush and go back into the aqua that's mixed with a little bit of white, and we're going to add our energy bolts. So we're going to take and do like little squiggles, very light touch, and we're just going to make the outlines of our energy bolt. Then we're going to go back in with a lighter and lighter progression of colors to overlay until we get our lightning bolt energy looking the way we want it. Here I'm also using the glow-in-the-dark colors, and I'm going back over my blue lines using the Aurora light with the very light areas, and using the blue light on some of the other areas, because I really want these to stand out, and I love glow-in-the-dark, so of course it's got to glow when I turn the lights off. Y'all, I just realized I put this on double speed because it was like a very long video, and someone was speaking in the background just then, and it sounded so funny. Oh my god. Okay, so we've cured now, and now I'm going to go back in with my white and the Aurora light and put in just a few more lighter areas in our energy bolt. It was not quite as energetic as I wanted it to look. If you'll notice, our energy kind of fans out where it is next to our ring finger, and that's because the two energy beams are going to collide right there where your birdie finger and ring finger come together at. So I wanted it to look like the blue and red were colliding at the edge. So now we're going to start on our skull bearer. We're going to do the outline of his eye in white and fill that in, because I really want this red glowing eye to pop. So we're going to fill that in, and then we're going to go back in with our red, and we're going to cover our red eye, and then also taking the fluffy brush again, we're going to do the dabbing motion on our ring finger and do our red energy. back in with our detail brush, we're going to take our red and mix it with just a tiny bit of white, and we're going to do that same dabbing motion to add some highlights to the red glow. Then we're going to take our very pale red color that we've mixed up, and we're going to create the lightning bolts. Got to add a few highlights to the eye and make it really stand out and glow. I really apologize for the rattle and the background noise on my recording. I'm using my iPhone to do this because I don't have all the good stuff. Now we're going to use the Vrenmol Color Solar to go in and put some highlights that are going to glow onto our red energy and the skull bearer's eye. Now we're going to add some white energy coming from the skull bearer's eye, and then we're going to take some of our pale red that we mixed and put some details in the skull bearer's face. teeth. Solar over our eye to make it really glow and pop well. And we're going to take a little bit of white and just touch up the energy bolts where they leave his eye. Cool, very energetic and evil. We're going to do Shea, our hero. So we're going to take some of our taupe and we're going to block in his face. Same color and mixed a little bit of white in it, and we're going to do a second coat on the face, paying close attention to the lighter areas and leaving just a tiny gap where the shadows will be. I did do 2 coats of this lighter color on his face to give it a really smooth complexion. And then of course don't forget the lovely elf ear. Now we're going to take some of our Aurora lights and we're going to put some highlights where the glow from the elf stones is going to touch his face. Then we're taking Gelin Yellow and filling in his hair. We're going to use a little bit of the Solar Orange Yellow Glow-in-the-dark to do some highlights on his hair, and a little bit of the taupe color to do the low lights. here we're taking some of our darker flesh tone and just adding a few little details and shadows. And then we're going to take some black and outline the nostril and the nose. And we're going to add some white for his eye. And then, just a tiny little black dot for his pupil there. And then, of course, one more time with the highlights on the face to make him really stand out. Add just a few of those blue highlights to his hair because it's going to bounce off his hair too. And then we're going to draw his arm because his arm is extended holding out the elf stones. So we're going to add a little bit of detail there to make it look like he's wearing clothing, and then of course fill in his neck. Now we're taking a mixture of a blue and a little bit of white, and we're going to fill in the background behind Shea. And the reason I'm using this blue glow instead of going black is because that's where the light is bouncing at him. Then we're going to put on a top coat for everything, and we're all done. Guys, so here's our finished look. It turned out exactly like I wanted it to. I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next time.